I want people to understand that there's so much to life, whether you're the CEO or the janitor.
Giving everything you do at 150% will change your mindset and your perception of what you're doing.
On this episode of the Now or Never podcast, the Rexiuses sit down with Mountain Dog himself, John Meadows. They talk a little bit about how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected their grind and how they're still teaching their families that getting up every single morning and getting to that grind is very important.
Welcome to the Now or Never podcast. I'm your host, Tim Rexius, my beautiful co-host, Brittney Rexius, and our special guest, Mountain Dog himself, John Meadows. You look younger. I think the teleconferencing thing works well for you, sir. Oh,
I don't know. Maybe I just got like some fancy photo editing software installed.
Yeah, the 35 filters of Instagram. All the kids do it, you know. So let's just start off with like, how are things where you're at? How's home? Like, what's going on in your state, in your area? What's the status?
Well, if you remember back to the Arnold Classic, that's kind of when it all started, and the governor ordered they couldn't conduct the expo and all that. And it's hindsight it was probably a good idea. I was just ticked off because they waited until the last second to do it. And all those people were already here in Columbus.
Yeah.
But hindsight, it was probably a good thing. They've continued to institute measures since. We're supposed to stay at home. Now, when I go to the grocery store, it's just like a normal. Really, it's just normal. Like, it's just like anytime I go to the grocery store, just a few people wearing their hazmat suits.
Yeah.
But, other than that, we're supposed to not go. All the gyms are shut down. The food is carry out only, so you can still get carry out. But most of the businesses are pretty well shut down.
Yeah. Like us here, like we're not at a stay-at-home order per se, but a lot of your business, all your hair salons, tanning salons, all your restaurants are closed. It's all takeout only. Like grocery stores, you can still go, obviously, but they're trying to now they're starting to limit how many people can be in the store per so many thousand square feet. All the private gyms are still open, so Iron Heaven's still open, but we have a limit: 10 people per room, social distancing. Extensive cleaning. It's not open to the public, so there's no drop-in fees. It's only existing memberships, and a few like Bob's is doing the same thing down in Bellevue. It's one of your smaller gyms, but the larger commercial gyms that aren't they're not open. But for the most part, I mean, they haven't put us at a stay-at-home order, but it's pretty well stay-at-home. So it's just been interesting. I mean, it's been nice to still have a gym to go to. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are extremely thankful for it. Most of our older members haven't been going in, which we talked to them about, just being protective. It's just like with my parents, I told them to stay home. Had to just stay home, watch Netflix, chill. But, that's my parents. And just like, they're at this age where they just should stay home. But, it's been nice to be able to work out. So I've been seeing you doing some home workout video stuff too. It seems to be the trend right now. Let me ask this question just from a workout, just because of me. Guy your size, your kind of muscle, can you really get a decent at-home workout in without having a lot of equipment?
You can, although I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the same effectiveness as my normal workout, with barbells and dumbbells and machines.
Oh, yeah.
I'm maintaining pretty well, actually. I've lost a few pounds, but when you look at it from a physiological perspective, you just apply stress to a muscle that's heavy enough to create a lot of muscle activation, and then you do enough reps to create some fatigue. So, at its basic principle, you can still maintain quite a bit. The trick is just, how do you create, sometimes with bands, like, for example, which is what I've been using, you just have to find the right exercises that allow you to stimulate that. So, I think I'm doing pretty good for maintenance, but I certainly don't expect to put a half inch on my arms.
Well, that's it. Diana, we've been watching, obviously, all the business stuff, all the fit models and all that. Everybody's doing at-home workouts, and so we're actually going to do a little thing tonight with our kids, because they've been 6 kids and they're penned up indoors, and they're obnoxious.
They're running crazy.
And now they're running crazy. So we're going to get some tires at home and have them start flipping tires in the driveway and some battle ropes and just taking them worn out more than anything else. Because, you know, we went from 75 degrees to 20 degrees in a matter of a day. So can't go outside and go on the trampoline or that kind of stuff. So it's been interesting, you know, from a business aspect. I just got
some boxes from Elite FTS, some plyo boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to do some workouts with my kids. So I got to ask, 6 kids. So how's the homeschooling there?
Okay. All right. So the middle schoolers have already been doing e-learning. That's kind of their thing anyways here, especially in the school district that they're in. They already had the laptops. They were kind of doing a lot of that before. And the thing is, it's how do I say this? Like, the guidance counselor called us a couple days in a row, and I'm glad that they're super concerned and they're involved, and they're all learning as we're going. But I had to be the guy called me like twice, and I like him. He shops at our store, and they called her too.
Yeah,
we're like, hey guys, like we're listen, they're 14 and 12. They're like, yeah, well they missed their Zoom at 7:45. I'm like, well, we go to work at like 5 a.m. So I'm not real concerned. I'm worried about keeping people's jobs right now. I said, so the lesson I'm going to teach my kids is personal responsibility. Either they get their butts out of bed and take some personal responsibility, or they fail. This is how they're going to be doing college. Might be how they're working someday in a job. This is what college is going to be like. We've all seen how many people flunk out of college because they get out of class. So this is a good lesson. And so the guidance counselor kind of laughed on the phone. He goes, so you're not going to go home and wake them up? I go, if I go home and wake them up, I'm doing it with a megaphone and an air horn, and I'm not going to be happy about it. And honestly, they've been
really good at it.
They've been good. They slept through a couple and found out they were in trouble. I'm like, that's on you people. Like, you got cell phones, you got your own little alarms. We didn't have that when we were kids. We just had the old clock alarm, and that was it. So I think it's the 7-year-old. Yeah, that's challenging because keeping his attention. And, so he, during the day, obviously we can't, and his brothers and sisters, they don't teach him anything but bad words and that kind of stuff. So they're not going to help him a whole lot. So we do it at night and, get him involved with the physical activities better, but they have all these web links and stuff, the teachers, and I'll give the teachers are doing a great job. They really care.
They are.
And they're in limbo too, I mean, heck, Chad, you remember Chad, our videographer's behind the mics over there. His girlfriend, she's a teacher, so like they went from having their plans to nothing pretty much in a matter of no time at all, and then being told, hey, you got to create all this at-home content. And, if they're not e-learning kids, that's real tough because like our 7-year-old, we just kind of randomly throw stuff at him and quiz him and, he wanted to play my guitar the other day. I'm like, okay, let's have a guitar lesson. Why not? Just kind of throw random stuff. I'm probably not. He's not going to be further ahead with his math and arithmetic,
they're all going to unlearn Common Core.
Yeah, they'll unlearn Common Core real quick. I'm not teaching
that.
But I was going to say with you, like your boys, I think like from us, from a home learning, it's funny you brought that up. That want to be one of my questions I was going to ask you. Like, I think we're able to teach our kids some real world stuff right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny when our family prayer on the table, when we eat dinner and stuff, it's about praying for our employees and trying to make sure they can keep their jobs. And we had a few times with our kids that we had to kind of kick them off their high horse a little bit. Our 14-year-old son, Tyler, was like, Dad, he just looks so...
He just looked wrecked.
Because he had 4 hours worth of e-learning in one day. And I'm like, and I had just had a day where we had to let a couple part-timers go, and I wasn't real feeling great about it. And I just said, all right, kid, your only job is to roll out of bed, flip your hair out of your eyes, and turn on a computer. You've got life real good right now. And I think that it's giving us a chance to teach our kids some serious humility. And like, how are you approaching that with your kids right now?
Well, so we had done homeschool for two years prior to this year, and heading into it, I was nervous because of the stereotypical stuff, such as your kids will not develop social skills, they'll be awkward and all those things. And so we went through. Now my kids have been in sports too, football, soccer, and basketball, so they've had a lot of socializing. Plus, plus my wife's family is really big. It's a big Catholic family. So anyways, long story short, they, what we found out pretty quickly was in about 3 hours, we could do 2 days worth of schoolwork. So they got really far ahead in several subjects. And the first year they were so far ahead. The second year, it's on me as a parent. We weren't as disciplined, so it became a lot of get out of bed, get off the computer, get off the video games, get to work. So it was really frustrating, but they were still really far ahead.
Yeah.
So we just said, you know what, we're just going to find a good school, send you to a good school. And when they got to the school, they seemed like they were quite a ways ahead of the other kids in some cases, in many cases. They were very far ahead in math. There were several subjects. They were clearly, they were coming home, they were bringing their work home and they're like, Dad, we did this 2 years ago. So they were pretty far advanced. And in terms of socializing, I remember when we went to our first parent-teacher conference, the teachers were like, your kids are some of the most social kids we have. They're like extremely social, get along really well with the other kids.
That's awesome.
And so, for us, homeschooling, we had already done it. So we're it feels like now we're going back in time and we're doing it again. But this time they've been more disciplined. They're doing a good job. My wife does, 95% of it with them. So homeschooling is like, I could sit here and talk about that for an hour. I love to talk about homeschooling simply because, as you pointed out, you have opportunities to teach them so much other stuff.
Yeah.
And, we have all kinds of business conversations. We'll sit down and we'll watch a little bit of Shark Tank. And somebody will say, okay, I'm looking for $50,000 and, that'll give you 25% equity share in our company. So I'll look over at Alexander and I'll say, wow, Alexander, how much are they valuing that company at? And he'll know the answer, So we're teaching them some business skills. We're getting a lot of actual outdoor physical activity stuff in, playing different sports, which I think is really underrated.
Oh, I agree.
I think you've got to really get kids active. One of the things that kind of bugged me about sending them back to regular school was they no longer have like a recess where they go out and play a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I want kids out being active. I think a lot of the problems people have these days is just simply because they're not active.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're just not active. There's just too many ways that you can just sit around now and do nothing. So, we try to focus and talk about just different business stuff. And Alexander, he's the kid that he'll get his wagon and he'll put some weed clippers in and some stuff, and he'll go around the neighborhood and he'll knock on doors. He's 11 years old, and he'll ask people, hey, I noticed you have some weeds in your flower bed. Can I trim those for you? He's always he's a little schemer, man. He's trying to make money.
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty interesting. But to your point, there's a lot of opportunities to teach them things that aren't really covered in school. And I think that's the kind of stuff that'll give them a real advantage once they get older. And simply just from the perspective of how their mind works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just how their mind works in general.
Well, and that's I think we've, with the physical activity especially, like it's been kind of, because I've been able to be home more because I can't be in the gyms for our businesses. Like I can't be around because it's private business. We're not open to the public, so the owners can't be around during busy times. We have certain cleaning members and people like that. But so we've actually kind of been forced to be home more than I probably have been in the last 5 years at least. And
absolutely.
She was working as a controller for a hotel, which obviously went from 80 employees to none. So all of a sudden she's back around the company, which is nice.
Yeah.
In some ways, we, all of a sudden we're outside playing basketball with the kids, and and previously, because we worked so much, we'd had a lawn service.
Yeah.
Nice guys. But I grew up in a house with 4 boys. My dad would have never paid someone to mow a yard. So we got a lawnmower, and the kids were like, well, what's that for? You people. And you're going to, and all of a sudden, like things that we've always talked about doing as parent, like more chore chart, that kind of stuff. But we are obviously on the go so much that we probably let slide.
Yeah.
And now, just because
now we can get it all
done. And the kids know now, don't tell me you're bored. That's like
Don't say that.
Oh, that's a 4-letter word in our house. I'm like, and it's been kind of fun, with the kids. The boys have helped me, refinish a couple floors in the house, learning some actual craftsman stuff that I might have done before when they were all asleep, just to get it done. And it's been just like almost like having a shop class in the house and sports and the real world stuff. It's the kids get to see us, really dealing with all these government loan programs and getting to hear me talk about it a lot, and they get to hear me talk to my dad, who was, a head finance officer for 40 years. And they see me taking advice from, they're like, "Are you talking to Grandpa?" I'm like, yeah, Grandpa's way smarter at this than I am. And I think that's, it's been real world. And then them seeing like, well, where's this employee? Cause they all look, they know our employees are like, they're like
family.
They're family. And they're like, where are them at? Well, they can't work for us right now because of what's going on. And then you can just see it in their eyes. They're like, oh my, and I think the 7-year-old finally now, it's been a month. He's like, well, can I go to the store with you? Can I go to, Menards or Home Depot to pick some wood up? I'm like, no, I'm sorry. They won't let anyone under the age of 16 in the door. And now he's like, is this because of the corona? I'm like, yes, this is. And now he's finally at his age, finally starting to get like, I can't go do anything, really out in public. And, the 14s and 12-year-olds at first were all about having a 6-month-long summer. Now they're like, we have to spend 4 more months with you people. I'm like, yes, you do. So it's, but I think the real world aspect's been, it's underrated what these kids can learn from this.
Well, the other thing that we're doing a lot of is Mary's teaching them how to cook a lot and just how to make healthy food. And like yesterday, Alexander made me scrambled eggs and they were really good. I think that's another thing that's kind of overlooked, just the ability to make healthy meals.
Yeah.
We actually, some of the stuff we make like in the skillet and all that, but I actually just got a Instapot.
Yeah.
Greatest thing ever. Oh my gosh, those things are fantastic.
I just got one. So I'm kind of stumbling around and trying to learn how to use it. It seems pretty simple. So we've been making all kinds of rice dishes and that. We actually tried to make, there's a specialty grocery store here that has all kinds of different kinds of meats, like camel burgers and weird stuff here.
Yeah. And
I went there like 6 months ago and I got all these weird foods because I made a YouTube video. And one of the things I got was a duck leg. So last night we tried to make a duck leg in it. It was like, So I think you need to be like a real chef to make duck legs.
Yeah.
That's not an easy one to do.
No, it doesn't sound easy at all. Well, that was, at first I call it the Corona bulk because I have all these restaurant owners I've known. They've been shopping at my store for so many years and they love when the Rexius family comes through because there's 8 people. So it's always a good ticket, So I'm trying to remember all these guys who've been shopping at our stores, have memberships at our gym. So all of a sudden I'm like, I gained like 15 pounds and I'm like, oh, good grief. No. So, but
it's like you went back to college.
Yeah. It's just like back to college. And my kids are like, we eat out more now than we ever have. I'm like, well, I'm trying to support these guys, and so the kids can eat, but for me, all of a sudden it brought up a point that, I think you've heard this for a lot, probably over the years in nutrition. I just don't have the time to prep. I just don't have the time to cook healthy. I don't have the time. And I looked at her, I'm like, wow, what a hypocrite am I? I got more time now than I probably had in 5 years. And there's really no excuse left for me not to be on point. We kind of got back to the nitty gritty of eating healthy. And I told them, like, the kids can, we've had more family dinners, I think, than we've had in 5 years combined.
Yeah.
Literally in the last probably 2 months, which is nice. We're taking the positive.
It's a nice slowdown.
It's a nice slowdown in some ways.
That's excellent.
Well, it is.
I think kids, like, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent here, but like when people ask me, what's one thing you could do to make the world a better place? It's sit down and have dinner as a family.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like the family unit is where everything starts.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of, to me, that's like the foundation of society. When that starts breaking down, then you just have one problem that spider webs into another problem, like just getting people together and sitting down having dinner as a family is a big win in my book.
Well, it is. It was something we committed to years ago, was at least once a week, which people were like, we go back to my parents, like that would have been, like, everybody did it.
Yeah.
It was every night, and for us to be able to do it like 4 or 5 nights a week right now is awesome.
Yeah.
And it, for our house, almost becomes like a challenge because we have a 1-year-old who is loud. Like Johnny's twice as big when last time you were here, and he's just gotten louder, and I don't know where he gets that from. And now it's like, how can we get family prayer in before he decides to scream and interrupt? So it's almost like a challenge every night. It's been fun, and the kids, like, she's just trying. She's a heck of a cook, and so I just try to find some lower carb options for her plus size husband that I don't have to eat as much. But from the business aspect, I was going to ask, like, how does this change everything you got going? I mean, obviously, you're still able to create as much YouTube content as you want. Like, you did one on your birthday the other day. Happy birthday, by the way, 48.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Good grief, look 10 times better than me. And you
Are
were
you
actually
48?
No, but I'm 10 years younger, and you look 10 times better than me.
I was gonna say, I don't remember you being as old as me.
No, I'm 39. I'll be 40. But
okay,
yeah.
All right. I was assuming you didn't get into some time machine.
No, I got a lot of gray hair. I had to shave it off before this podcast because I was looking way old. And people kept making comments online. But with the YouTube, like, you've been doing some real just. I love the content you were giving the other day, talking about your upbringing, and that's kind of fantastic. You find like you're just able to kind of turn it a little bit. It gives you a good chance to go on some different kind of topics.
Well, so a couple things go into that. I don't think it's a good idea to. I had a bunch of videos actually training in the gym scheduled when this whole thing happened and the shutdown happened. I don't feel good, first of all, about putting content where I'm in a gym.
Yeah.
Because people can't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, the others, that's the stuff that gets me the most views, and that's the stuff I make more money on. But what I really like talking about is the video like you watched the other day. And then I did another video probably a week before that called 7 Ways to Win at Life.
Yeah.
And those are the things I actually love to talk about. They don't get as many views. They don't make as much money, but I get a lot more self-satisfaction out of that stuff.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So watching my YouTube revenue plummet, although that's not been good, the good thing is I've been able to talk more about stuff I really like. Like, I really enjoy talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
So when people ask me those questions, you get this response like, John, how do you build bigger biceps? And it's like, oh, God, here's another question about biceps. But then when I get a question like the guy asked me, he says, how was your upbringing?
Yeah.
That's like, yes, that's something I like to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I really like talking about that stuff, and I've got a good opportunity to do it now. So, I'm just trying to take the opportunity I have and really, I might get 15,000 views instead of 150,000, but the satisfaction I get out of reading people's comments saying, man, I didn't have a dad either. Man, my grandmother raised me too.
Yeah.
And man, my life wasn't so bad. And wow, I didn't know that about you. That stuff's really rewarding to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it defines your legacy. I mean, that's what you're leaving people with.
Yeah.
The impact you can have on their lives is more impactful than the impact you have on their biceps. I mean, it just is. And that's,
and I think that, people that don't really know me, they see some measure of success. And it's easy to just say, well, you don't understand what went into that, right?
Yeah.
So, when I tell people, didn't have a dad, don't know who my dad was. All I know is I heard he died in his 40s from something. Mom was a drug addict and alcoholic, and unfortunately, by the time she recovered, it was a little too late.
Yeah.
And her body couldn't handle it anymore. She passed away at a young age. I think when you tell people that, they're like, because we all have issues.
Oh, yeah.
We all have problems. And it's, people see that and they're like, well, he's like me. He has issues just like I do.
Yeah.
And he responded to them a certain way. And, so I because we all have issues.
Yeah.
And it's just how you respond to them. Some of us have bigger issues than others, but none of us have a perfect life.
Right.
Well, I think that's it. Is your baggage and how you respond to it defines who you want to be and who you're going to be. And I think we've gotten that from a lot of stuff that we've done. Some of our lower counts on videos between YouTube or Instagram are the ones we get the most messages in about.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that, we had a video, it was a couple weeks ago, we had to shut down our Iowa location just because the state of Iowa went way down on lockdown in Sioux City and in sales. Even my manager was like, hey, you should shut down because it's down 90%. I'm like, okay, well, we have a lot of food there. We do eat Go Healthy Meals. This is our company based out of Omaha here, and we have a whole walk-in cooler, whole thing, right? And so she says she did it. It was her idea. It was our idea. It's a we, honey. Not a me.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're like, we put a video up on Instagram, just nothing produced. And, And just while we're driving, like, hey, we're going to be up there in an hour and a half. It's 2:00. We're open until 6. We're giving away the meals to anyone needy in the area that might need some help. And just rather do that than haul them back to Omaha and try to sell them. And the time we get up there, there's a line out the door, well, literally, and people were just in need.
Yeah.
And we're like, it was really cool. We gave away everything, and which was an awesome feeling. It was a good thing to do. But then we get these emails. I read one to her. We had these emails in from people who just, like, the kindness and generosity you showed. It was just, I mean, we're talking, this wasn't like a lot. It was like $50 worth of meals. It wasn't anything insane, but messaging in, talking about how, they had lost their parents and they've been struggling with, some things in their life.
Or
and some
depression
health, depression or some health concerns. And these have really helped them out. And they were just in a tight spot. And this one little moment of, graciousness or whatever you want to call it, just turn their day around. For me, I was like, you took the time out to write me an email like that. And, I'm a big softie, so I start tearing up, because I'm like, that's just cool. But that kind of stuff, I mean, it actually costs us money.
Yeah.
But that gave me more joy than the videos that get 6,000 or 7,000 views for us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to say the views or whatever, I mean, it may make your bank account rich, but the realness of things when you share makes your soul rich. So, I mean, and I would much rather be soul rich than bank account rich any day.
Every day. And that's the way we want our kids to be raised.
Giving somebody a little bit of hope in this time that we're in right now is massive. I mean,
I guess I look at it like we look at our kids someday when they're our age, and hopefully I'm still alive. And I look at them like, I'm not going to care as much about how much money they have in their bank account. I'm going to care more about the kind of person they are.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how I want to make sure that we're trying to live our lives too right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think people see, like, we struggle. I mean, we're like, well, you guys are successful. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing 10 years of my life right now hanging in the balance. My legacy that I've, busted my butt to make.
Yeah.
And it was hard enough for her to go back to work in the professional field after being home for a year and helping in the companies to 3 months later being laid off. It's just kind of roll with the punches, you know, and I think we've been happier than we've ever been. Just
Absolutely.
But granted, we're not materialistic people though either. So we're not addicted to lifestyle.
The cool thing that you guys have going for you is you've had to work hard and earn everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you've attained a lot of success, but it never changed who you are at your core. And I think some people get things handed to them. I think some people have good intentions, but then they let success get to their heads.
Yeah.
But I think the people that remain true to their core, and that's what I strive to do. I still got a long ways to go, but that's what I strive to do. But seeing, like, you guys set an example, for people like me to do that. And when I see that, that's really impressive to me. Like, that's awesome, because it's easy to get in the rat race where it's a compare and despair. Well, he has this or she has this, when you lose focus of what you have and what you build and your kids. And like, I feel you, like the number one thing that with my kids is number one, I want them to be good people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's number one.
Exactly.
I want them to be good people. Right. But they learn from what they see.
Yeah.
So if I'm preaching that, but I'm living a completely different message, then that's the message they're going to get.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think a lot of people preach and live a different life. It's, saying the coin terms is one thing, but doing it out loud with your actions is a whole nother thing. And I would say for us, like I should probably say more things than I do. I just do things. And, I think that was going to touch on another subject, not just with kids, but I look at a lot of our employees as our kids, and we have a lot of 17 to 23-year-olds that work for us, and I know a lot of them follow you and that kind of stuff. And I said, I'm looking at things for hope right now. Like, what are my hopes for right now? Because there's a lot of despair. I mean, there's enough of that to go around. Let's hope. My hope is that, I think we went through, and you remember this, the 07, 08, 09 housing crash. That changed me. That's when I decided, I lost my butt in bank stock in my house. And so I decided, like, if I'm going to be, I might as well be happy, and let's just go ahead and do this Rexius nutrition thing. And this is what blossomed out of that. It was finally like, hey, it pushed me to the limit. Like, you know what? I'm going to go for my legacy. I'm not going to go for the check. because I gave up a lot of income to do this, and because I knew it would make me happy, and I wanted to help other people be happy and be healthy and do this dream, you know. And I'm hoping that you know, a lot of the 20-year-old kids they've only grown up in a society where the stock's been going up.
Yeah.
You know, they've only,
That's right.
You know, and I'm thinking that, and I'm still seeing it, I'm starting to see it switch. A lot of the kids that are 20 being like, okay, I just want a job. Good. We're there now. You know, I think this expectation, I want to call it the Instagram society of life, where everything's perfect and everybody's going to be a millionaire and everyone's going to be a billionaire and everyone's going to have 6 billion followers on YouTube. And I go, how about just be happy that you've got the ability to go achieve that, and instead of thinking it's going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I think this might reset that a little bit. That's my hope for a lot of these younger people, including our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, no, there's a lot of stuff. And how many people have worked for us, that still work for us, that were like, I'm just glad I have a job still.
Yeah.
Which I've seen that switch with some of our own staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're happy they have a check. And I think that's where we're at. Like, before all this even went down, we saw it coming. She's applying at the grocery store to be an overnight stocker. Because people, like, even 3 years ago, she was doing it at Kohl's department store over Christmas break to make some extra money. And then I told her, I will go without a check to make sure our staff has a check.
Yeah.
I'm like, so if I got to go back to delivering pizza or working at the gas station at night, I'm good. Like, there's no job that's too good for me,
No.
I guess. I mean,
If
that's exactly how I look at it too. Yeah.
me getting another job lets another one of our employees continue to work. That's what we're here for. So.
You know, like, for me, it'd be kind of cool not to be the boss for a minute. Honestly, I might bring it on. So, but
And just to kind of piggyback off everything you guys are saying, by the way, John, this is Chad. You can't see me. I'm behind the. I'm the man behind the curtain,
yes,
so to speak.
he's the Wizard of Oz. So.
But just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, you know, so to quote one of my favorite lines in Fight Club, you know, we're the middle children of history, and you know, we didn't have any Great War, Great Depression, or anything like that. And in a way, like Tim was kind of saying, like, you know, these young kids now are starting to see, oh, okay, well, I just need to buckle down and get a job now, you know, because everything has just been so good for them for so long, you know. And I think about things in some way, shape, or form, that there was a time in my life where, you know, I was either dependent on, you know, alcohol, or I was dependent on, you know, affirmation from girls, or, you know, whatever it was. You know, at one point in my life, I hit a rock bottom, whatever your rock bottom is. It wasn't that bad, but some people have a rock bottom, and sometimes people don't change until they hit that rock bottom. And I'm not saying that we as a nation have hit a rock bottom, but this is a pretty scary moment, and this is a big moment for us to be able to, you know, sort of, you know, rise kind of from the ashes as better people, as you know, together as a country too. And so I just think, like, sometimes people don't change until they kind of get hit over the head with a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
that's another quote from a movie, but but it's unfortunate that that's the way it has to be. But I kind of get it, you know. John, you were saying earlier, like, you know, some people are handed things. You know, some people, you know, are afforded certain opportunities, and they either squander it through, you know, they kind of lose. They have good intentions, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Another quote from a movie. But it's interesting that we usually don't act, and we don't make the right choices, or we don't change until we absolutely have to. And in a way, silver lining, you know, this will be a good thing. And I believe that it will be eventually. I just think that hopefully once all the bickering is over and once all the politics get out of it, we'll come out the end better people. I really believe we will, because we all had to kind of go through it, and we all had our own things to go through. But those are just kind of my 2 cents. What how's it going over in Ohio? Like,
so let's touch on that. Like, what's your biggest hope to come out of this, John?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of friends who are really hurting financially, particularly guys that own gyms, and they're really worried about their means of providing for their family.
Yeah.
So I feel for those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear the stories about people that have been sick with the virus, and, you know, you read how people have had somebody they know die, and I feel for those people as well. It's, you know, you mentioned when 9/11 happened, the country was very unified. Like, we all stood as one after 9/11.
Yeah.
Everybody. And I thought that would happen this time too, but I was 100% wrong. I see a country that's more divided. And when I say divided, it's probably the extreme ends of both sides.
Yeah.
Whereas I think people like us are probably more in the middle. But the bickering, the constant on both sides, I'm just tired of it. And I was hoping that this would be another opportunity for us, like 9/11, to really, 9/11, I think probably 99% of us were united,
Yeah.
And now I feel like it's more like 5% of us are united.
And I remember 9/11 actually, because Chad was living in New York, and I remember watching it on TV and trying to get a hold of Chad, being like, okay, is my buddy okay? Like, that was a whole, like, there was no, and I think that, I see the politics getting separated side to side. I see people themselves, for the most part, coming together because we're all in the same struggle. The politicians can have the politics all they want. I think people right now are just like, okay, let's just, I guess I've never seen more support local actually mean something than I have right now.
Yeah.
And that, it was how many members of ours at the gym, regardless of political affiliation, messaged us and said, hey, and Nick was on the podcast live last week, was in tears on this deal. And we said, regardless if you guys shut down, keep taking my fees. And we're like, whoa, like that's crazy. Because if people are hurting for a job, that $36 means something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I saw Nick sent me a podcast, a snippet yesterday from a guy that owns these Metroflex out in Marietta, California, where like his members are willing to pay him, but the bank shut him off. So he can't collect them anyways because of people disputing charges at other gyms. And we're worried about that happening to us. That could happen to every gym in the United States. But the guy was positive, I'll be here, all those things. And, we've seen it at Rexius. I've had more web orders and more call-in orders, I should say, than anything else I've ever had in a year. I've had in a month. Call-ins more than web. Web doesn't do, but the call-ins be like, hey, these are my guys, these are my people. And it's been awesome. The amount of people that have reached out, just regardless of people I know that differ from me politically, whatnot, doesn't matter. So I think the politicians can have themselves, and I think the people themselves we're all supported. Like, it's my brother's a doctor. He's down in Texas. My baby brother works at the UNMC here, which is one of the top infectious disease centers in the nation. He's a doctor down there, and and so we're kind of all over the place. My whole family's medical, so seeing what they're going through. Regardless of what side of the aisle they sit on, it's like, I just got love for people right now that we're all. Yeah. And the thing is with the finances and the gyms and all those kind of things, that's where we've been getting reached out to a lot in the business aspect. And I'm like, they've got these loan programs. It's the government. If you expected it to be fast, then that's on you. They're never fast. But I told people everything, like, hopefully no one has to go into bankruptcy. Hopefully they don't. But there are programs like this set up, and you just need to educate yourself and protect yourself. Yeah. Just bankruptcy doesn't mean shut down. And people need to, like, if the government doesn't come through, there are other programs throughout our laws that are there for a reason, and they need to not relax about it. Get it all. Like, this isn't like, and one thing, because people look at bankruptcy, what I do wrong, I'm a failure. It's not that. Like, this is nobody's fault.
Yeah.
This is not a single.
Well, Vince McMahon just filed bankruptcy yesterday for the XFL, and I think he's pretty successful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And I told somebody else, they changed Chapter 5 and changed the term limits on Chapter 5 bankruptcy protection for smaller businesses. It's the first time in 25 years they've made an exemption to that. And I read a lot. So, because I have a lot of businesses like, hey, what if I don't get covered? Hey, I'm a single pass-through business. I'm a 1099. I can't. I go, I get it. You're not, us, we apply. We have 44 employees just at the Rexius Corporation alone, and we still haven't got our paycheck protection program. And I said, okay, we're just taking this day by day, week by week. I don't know what 60 days is from now, but I'm not going to sit here in fear, because fear won't accomplish anything. But I'm going to educate myself on all my options, humanly possible. I'm going to reach out, and it's amazing. If you reach out to people right now, this is going back to the thing where I think people are fine. The politics are separate, but people are good.
Yeah, I think to be devil's advocate, there's a couple things that are very different, that stand out, very different from 9/11 to this, obviously. There's being attacked, with, from the air, so an act of war, and social media. there was no social media like there is today. In fact, I don't even know. I think in 2001, I don't think Twitter, none of that stuff existed. Facebook didn't come around until 2003. But that's the thing is, right now there's social media is weaponized, so it's so much easier for people, regular people, to go on and spew out all of their negativity, point fingers. It was this administration, that administration. Okay, whatever. So those are part of the things. But Tim is exactly right. Tim and Brittney both. They've gotten down to the level of the people, and I've tried my community as much as I can as well to. I'm trying to buy. Like if I've got some equipment that I need, whether it's video equipment or whatever, tripods, whatever, I try and find it on Facebook Marketplace first. I try and get somebody's old stuff. So many people have been selling things because it's like, hey, I don't have, and they need the money. So I'm trying to do it that way. And that's my small little teeny tiny way of doing it. But, Tim and Brittney are able to kind of do it on a different level through, employment and things like that. But I think that's where we will succeed. We're going to have to lean on each other. Mm-hmm. I'm optimistic, and I have to be. I have to be an optimist because if not, then like Tim says, you live in fear. And if you live in fear, you get nothing done. Yeah. And I think fear, then they win. Whoever they is, they win. Well, and it feels really good though that people are willing to use this technology for good. And you're right. We do have some divisiveness, but. Again, I think
it's right now. I think positivity wins.
Yeah,
and I like I said, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist. I read them all, and some of them are really entertaining. And some of them are like, oh my god, who even thought of that? I've just committed. Like we're not going to doomsday prep worth of 70,000 rolls of toilet paper. Okay, I'm not going to do it. And whatever you weren't wiping before ahead of time, that's a discussion for you and your doctor to have. And so I'm not going to get negative because I don't know what 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now brings financially. So, and I understand business owners, like you see with your ad revenue. I had Kyle Loftuson last week from 1320 Video with 3 million followers. Like that's a big chunk of his, and with no races and no new videos, no new revenue. And he said the same thing. I don't know what tomorrow, next month, next week, 6 months, who knows? And all you can do is just, truck day by day and be positive. And there's enough negative people out there in the world that I'm not going to play that game. And, even my YouTube videos right now, I want nothing negative. Somebody puts a negative comment, usually I just let it go. No, I'm deleting it. I'm not playing it not right now. Yeah. And we're going to be as positive. And I told the business owners, I'm like, just research, reach out. It's amazing how many people I've reached out to, like, hey, I've got questions. And these guys are like, you want to pop on the phone? You're a lawyer. Are you going to charge me? So they're like, no, we're all here because everyone's in the same boat. Because if no one can pay their bills, no one gets their bills paid. Yeah. And I think that this will end up unifying us more in the end than I think it will divide us. I have hope for that. I don't believe that politics represents what people actually are here. I think that people are going for the trendy topic that's going to be retweeted 16,000 times today or tomorrow, and not, the idea of a statesman, what's better for 6 months or 6 years. I think that's lost in politics. Yeah. So I don't give it any, I told her I'm not even renewing my satellite subscription because I don't want to listen to it anymore. And I'm just turned it off. I'm just going to truck ahead and do what I can do. And I was watching you do your video. That's what I was bringing up the other day. I was watching your videos, and I just like the positivity. I like to tell them the stories. I think that, you taking your platform now, and yeah, you might not make as much money right now, but if you can give hope to other people, that's huge. Yeah.
Well, I in some of the videos I talk about just being sensible financially and living below your means, which I think is like probably the number one financial lesson I'd like to teach people, is to live below their means.
I agree.
And that'll put you in a position to where, like, I'm not the slightest bit worried about my situation financially. I'm worried about my friends.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about. So, I think, in terms of lessons, hopefully there's some financial lessons that we can learn. It's tough when you're a bigger business, though, right? You got all these operating expenses. Exactly. When you don't have any revenue, like, it can hit you hard and it can hit you fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think people really understand that from an economical perspective. They think, well, there's a bigger company, it made tons of money.
No,
Yeah.
because companies are they're pass-through entities. You can't keep that in the hopper. There's no savings account for a business. It doesn't
right.
work like that.
Yeah.
That's right. They're not, and that's what I'm trying to, because you'll probably get a kick out of this, but I have probably more requests right now for business consultations than I do for anything fitness related.
Hey, that's awesome though.
It is what it is. So, but people like, they just don't understand. Like, man, when you have a lot of expenses and your revenue's gone, like, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when you guys make product for granted, like you probably have to pre-order it months in advance, just like we did, just like we do with anything else. And all of a sudden you've got $100,000 goods coming in and no sales because you're always forward buying. Oh Lord, it's just going to sit there.
Let me tell you a little story with this, because this will drive the message home. So we went through over 2 years of paperwork and spending a lot of money to get our approvals to do business in Canada.
Yeah.
Those NPN numbers take a long time to get for products. So we finally got them. We have a great business partner, Empire, that, the owner, Peter, and I have been talking for years. He's a great guy. They supply all the Popeyes and people like that. So we were happy. We got our NPN numbers. We just had our manufacturer make a lot of product.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. So, and then guess what happens? All this hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Empire says, Peter says, here's what we have going on with the stores, with us. So we can't really take anything right now. Meanwhile, we had already had the product made and everything.
Yeah.
So Peter and I got on the phone and we worked it out, and, we just changed our terms and everything. So the good news is we're going to be in Canada like really soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But, it was scary financially because that PO was like 6 months of POs from our entire domestic operation for,
Wow.
I mean, it was a lot of money for us. So like, we're like, oh, this is bad. Like, this is really bad. We can't afford to pay. So we had to all work together.
Yeah.
And we did that. We worked together with the manufacturer. We worked with Peter at Empire, and now everything's going to work out. But it's a little scary for a business, right?
Oh, it is. Like because we have our own the popcorn company, and with our supplements, we put our biggest PO we'd ever put in, and it's a 2-month time period. And well, guess what? That comes in today. Well, they want to get paid, of course, and at the same point, like we had the money, like we're going into April. I'm like, my landlords are in the same boat. So we committed to, we paid all of our rents. We paid every bill we could pay because they're, I'm like, listen, they're like, hey, thank you so much for paying. And I'm like, I have relationships. But that's where I say I doubled down on relationships right now. Like knowing my landlords, knowing my bankers, knowing my people I do business with, and having a personal relationship with them. So if I got to have a phone call, if something like this happens, and that's what it was. It was with our gym, our gyms. I know both our landlords. They have memberships.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to shut down either. You know what I mean? So we had to call, our manufacturer, like, hey, so when do you want to charge that? Well, right away. Yeah. How about half? And he laughed. He goes, you've never not paid 100% on time every other time. He goes, I'm totally cool with that. Thanks for doing at least half. I'm like, sweet. And, we called everyone else and just, we're straight up with them and just said, hey, here's where we're at. This is what our plan is come May 1st. We'll discuss it then, and I'll let you know what I know. And it was honestly, everyone, for the most part, has been super cool about, making deals. And we have with all of our people, too. I think something changed on the screen, Chad. Something changed on the screen, too.
On mine?
Yeah, no, his. I don't. That's all Chad. But, everyone's been really cool about it, for the most part. There's been nobody really freaking out. But I've talked to some of the bigger landlords, even the bigger chains. We're talking chain restaurants. We're talking chains, like big chains, like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 unit chains are all asking to pay their rent late. This isn't just a small business problem. This is a business problem, period. But, it was somebody else asked me, why don't you guys have a savings account? I'm like, that's not how businesses work. We have, our PPP loan, like we'll spend $125,000 on payroll over 2.5 months, and it was funny. Somebody goes, well, yeah, but the CEO can't make over $100,000. I go, no worry, the CEO doesn't. I guarantee you he doesn't. So I don't have to worry about the income limit. But that's our people. Of course, they're all looking at us being like, hey, I'm like, listen, we're committed to giving you guys a check no matter what. And my landlords, that's their check. And they're a good guy. They're good people. Yeah. They all, it's not some huge billionaire that owns these buildings here. Our Chad and I were up here the other day and our landlord walked in. She's like, hey, you guys paying rent in May? I'm like, I'm planning on it. She said, good, and then just walked out. But she comes by and she shops, and that's the whole point. I think having the relationship where you can call your manufacturer and call your customer. That's what it is.
That's big.
I think that's going to be the key really for businesses. Mm-hmm. It's those relationships and us realizing that if any one part of that chain gets unreasonable, it's going to create a lot of issues for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And as long as we're working together, then hey, I think we'll come out of this. And I applied for the help as well with Granite, 2.5 times your payroll expense, all that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there too. But I think you're right though. I think the key is just working together.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, it's if we collectively do this all together. Because even like my dad working in the banks are scared too. Mm-hmm. Like because the small, they don't get their loans paid. They don't get checks either. So it's all sick. I mean, we're all in the same circle. So I think if everyone's willing to, there'll be the ones who take advantage of it as there always will be. But I can't worry about them. I can only worry about what we can do. And well, thank you so much for popping in. Honestly, we're going through last week because I can't, like you said about old footage, I can't throw out my old stuff. It's all about how great business is right now. So I'm like, see if John will pop on. And I'm so glad you were able to, and getting to hear from the great man himself, the Mountain Dog. It's kind of awesome. Thank you so much for popping in. And this one will air in probably a week or two, but we're going to do a big Granite giveaway. I got to get you guys the protein powder, man. It's unbelievable. I know 3 of my trainers have been buying it from your site and then throwing it in my face. And I'm like, I know. And I told Shane, order that stuff because they're like bragging on it. And I've been using Granite Recovery. And so I'm going to do a Granite Recovery giveaway because I'm obsessed. Mm-hmm. It's my intro like every day. So we'll do that and we'll tag in it and we'll give away some free stuff for when you follow on the podcast. So thank you again so much, sir. I really
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Anytime. My pleasure. Anytime.
Right. God bless.
Thank you.
It's on the real if you clueless. When I shoot shit, style too crisp, and I let it all hang out like a nudist. Oh, you wanna know who I am? Oh, you wanna know me? Well, I'm the man that you knew. Now you know what it do. I'm a 94, baby. Swanking like a brand new Mercedes.